So, I have an official book. Yes, so here we go. Are you ready?
I don't know. Tissue moment.
Okay, well, I'm going to hold your hand. You have a sweaty palm. Okay. Okay, so members of the congregation for the Centers for Spiritual Living, Granda Hills, it is our joyous privilege to officially recognize as a minister of religious science and to officially install as the staff minister of our center, Rev Jessica Fish, being duly qualified for such responsibility by having completed the required accredited religious science instruction, and then some. Rev Jessica has proven her understanding of religious science, her high spiritual consciousness, and consistent use of principle have made her an invaluable asset to this center and to Centers for Spiritual Living. Her caring and dedication have endeared her to the hearts of many. Now, ministry is a profession in the highest sense. It is also a business requiring management skills, leadership ability, and financial understanding. And yet, it is something still more than that. It is a calling, an inner prompting to serve God, self, and humankind. It is a challenge to live by spiritual principles. It is a challenge to live by spiritual principles. The desire of this church that Rev Jessica Fish be granted recognition as Minister of Religious Science and can be installed here as staff minister to our center.
As a representative and member of the Board of Trustees of the Center for Spiritual Living in Granda Hills, it is my pleasure to state that both the Board of Trustees and the church body request that Rev Jessica Fish be granted recognition as Minister of Religious Science and be installed as our staff minister.
Will you? I know there's no wills in treatment too. So will you help all those who come to you to understand the truth, that we are immersed in the Spirit of God, that we are in God and that God is in us, and that we are one being?
Yes, I do. I will. Yes.
So, do you believe that the events, situations, and circumstances which we attract into our experience are the results of that which we think, feel, and imagine, and that the person who embodies what he or she wants to attract, regardless of what appears, will eventually experience in the outer realm what he or she has so faithfully seen in the inner realm?
Absolutely.
Reverend Jessica, you have made a great decision in your life. You have dedicated yourself to live and teach this principle of truth. Reverend Jessica, your affirmation of faith makes all of us aware that the presence, which is God, is manifest in each of us. Your friends and fellow ministers rejoice that you have entered upon this path of service and have entered into this path of service with all of us. And we know that the light of truth will always guide you, and that the presence of God will always sustain your ministry of loving service.
Excuse my tissue moments. This has been a long road for me, but a very natural and graceful one. I'm steeped in gratitude for all of the preparation and support that I've gotten along the way. Okay. There's my friend, Robert B. O'Hare, who took me to my first religious science church way back in June of 1995. He was already in the classes, and I was hooked on the services, and he kept saying to me, have you thought about taking the classes? And by September, I was in the foundational class. And I did the 2-year program of Science of Mind classes. And Robert kept saying, have you thought about taking practitioner classes? And I, you know, that was not my intention when I came into religious science, but Robert kept asking me. Thank you, Robert. I signed up for practitioner classes and I got my license in 1999. My daughter was young then. Sometimes she went along with me, most of the time she didn't. She was there at my practitioner graduation. 10 years later, when I told her I was starting ministerial school, she said to me, but Mom, you're already a minister. I thank you, Senator, for your encouragement on that. And oh, and can I share with them? She's entered into classes to get her practitioner license. Okay. So I had been a practitioner for over 10 years when I finished my ministerial studies back in 2010. And at that time, it looked like being a staff minister was a lot like being of service as a practitioner. Consciousness is consciousness, right? So I called a friend of mine who was sort of in the same situation as I was, Reverend Kathleen McMorrow. She's been the head of practitioners at Agape for well over 15 years at the time. And she had been a practitioner for over 15 years before she started her ministerial classes. And I asked her, I said, well, what is the difference? What's the difference between being a staff minister and being a practitioner? She told me she actually had that same question. And the night that she was going to speak for the first time on pulpit, taking over Michael Beckwith's pulpit as a minister that night, she asked him as they were walking to the sanctuary, what's the difference between me being a practitioner and now being a staff minister? And she told me that he thought for a moment. And he answered, it's what the congregation pulls from you. Now that's what I'm talking about. I get that. You all have pulled my highest good from me. I have been healed by the musical inspiration that we have here. I've been healed with Sharon Scott's singing. Reverend Michael McMorrow's leadership has been an inspiration to me. You all have pulled my highest good from me and brought it into expression. It is a co-creative experience that we have going here. I am so honored to be installed with this congregation with our spiritual director, Reverend Mike McMorrow. This is my beautiful spiritual community. And I thank you for blessing me with your open heart. I'm going to end with a quote from George Bernard Shaw, and thank you from Mike Carlin for showing me this quote. I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a splendid torch which I have a hold of for a moment, and I burn as bright as possible before handing it over to future generations. Thank you.